Hello everyone and welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we have a scenery change. We're close to our office here in Port Credit, Mississauga. And with us, a dear friend of ours, Mesh. Welcome.
Awesome to be back, my man Ellis. And as you can tell, for you today, I brought the guns. I brought the summer shirt. Feeling amazing. Just happy to be back here and talking to you and all the fans.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining.
And of course.
I know your time is you're always busy and stuff like that. We always make time for this, and I want to sincerely thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So what are we talking about today, Ellis? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so today what I wanted to talk about with you, especially because you understand this topic very, very well, is currently selling your home, upgrading it or not upgrading it.
Yeah.
Like, do these upgrades really fetch those kind of dollars nowadays, or do they not?
That's an awesome question, and I think what ends up happening is we get clouded because whenever the market, we call it running, right? So whenever the market's busy, it's a seller's market.
Right.
I would argue that, you know, even not so nice properties are selling because there's just no inventory.
Yes.
Okay? But we had a little bit of a pump, as they call it, so spring market. But I don't know if you're feeling the same thing. I'm noticing that pump is slowing down. It's slowing down a little bit.
Definitely less.
Yeah.
Definitely less. Yeah.
And so those old rules are still the same rules. So I'm always of the mindset, or I always believe that, hey, if you do the right type of upgrades to your house, maybe it doesn't fetch you more money, but in a competitive market, it gets you sold faster. Right. And you shine compared to your other competition. Usually you get more money, but for those three reasons, I always think it's a good idea to at least have an audit from someone like yourself, someone like myself.
I agree.
And we wouldn't spend money on things that you wouldn't recapture that money back. But there's a lot of things I'm sure we're going to get into that I would definitely recommend as like not a lot of spend for a good return for those three things we talked about.
So what would you say is the number one upgrade in a home?
So here's my number one. And what's crazy is it's not anything like, oh, change everything to...
I like how you said it. You're number one, because we're all realtors and we're all on field and all of that stuff, and we see. So it's your number one.
My number one. Something might be different in the Hartford the clients you say. So for me, I always say the number one thing is cleanliness. And I know that sounds general, but I say there's so many homes you walk into, whether they're new, I can show you new homes that look like they're 100 years old because unfortunately they just haven't been kept well. Yes. Then I can show you a home that's literally 60 years old that you could eat off the floor. It's so clean.
I know, eh?
So what I always like to say, it's the first step is cleanliness. What does that mean? We tidy up everything, we declutter everything, we get a professional cleaning. I always provide that as one of the services I do, so we know what we're looking at. And beyond that,
clean slate kind of thing.
Thank you. Right. Clean slate. That's the sounding board for us to decide, okay, what do we want to add to this budget? What are we trying to accomplish? Sometimes that is enough. Sometimes in a hot market, take for instance, we're here in beautiful Port Credit right now.
Right.
There's not that many units available as a detached property. Typically people who buy them are either tearing them down to rebuild, or they want to be by the water.
Lot value, right?
You said it, lot value. So, you know, clean is still better than adding all this stuff trying to get your money out after if there's no value for that because someone's going to tear it down.
So it's funny you say, so cleaning it, and I would like to add decluttering.
Yes, that's part of that. Like, you're right. So you're right. So cleaning, the general umbrella
less is
for
more,
cleaning,
right? Less is more.
You know, some of you guys may have seen that show. I think it's on Netflix. It's Marie Kondo. I love her.
Right.
Japanese superstar, decluttering star, and basically, you know, I've modeled some stuff from her. She has three boxes. You know, the one where they basically say, okay, if you have something in the house, does it give you joy? Like when you look at something, does it give you joy? If it gives you joy, you keep it.
If not, get rid of it.
Exactly. There's so much stuff. I'm guilty of it. Well, my wife is, but don't tell her that. But we hold on.
We're gonna cut
that piece out. We hold on to things thinking, oh, there's sentimental value or whatever. But you know, we've moved many times, just as I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
We have stuff in the guest bedroom still in a box from a move from 5 years ago that we don't even know what's in that box. Office supplies. Well, it's time to give them to someone who can use them. Donate them to a school. Donate them to a charity. Yes. Give them away if they're usable. I don't believe just throwing in the landfill, but if they can be repurposed, great. You know, there's so many of these thrift market, yard
Clothing,
sales.
right? Like if
yeah.
you didn't wear it for 6 months, 8 months, just get rid of it or something like that.
100%.
Right? Like, I mean, it's
But we live in such a beautiful place where we have so many options. Where back in the day, I understand maybe, maybe it would cost you a lot more to dispose of it than to hold on to it. So I get that.
Sure.
But we have options, like you said, there's a lot of charitable options where, there are people that are, they can't afford to get a beautiful dress jacket like that or shoot that maybe you've outgrown or give it to someone.
afford it either.
It's a different topic altogether. But yeah, staying on topic, I
Sure.
mean, there are options. So yes,
course, yeah.
clean is the
Declutter.
best. Declutter, and then get rid of. I'm a big proponent of, two things. Number one, there's a weekly garbage pickup that comes, recycling pickup.
Right.
You can do a garage sale if you're so inclined to do so. Kijiji, any of these things where people can come and it's amazing when you say for free, what'll go, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's not worth it. Say you've got an
So
old
that junk
bed.
goes to the next listing of yours, but that's okay.
Exactly. But I mean,
Just keep going.
sometimes you can have a bed, like every house I've had, we've pretty much sold everything because it doesn't fit. You're coming from a condo
Absolutely, yeah.
into a townhouse, and I don't want to carry it up 4 flights. Pay the guy to set it up and install it for you.
100%. So
Yeah.
let me ask you another
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
From your point of view, what would work better? I have my opinion. You
Yep.
might have yours.
Yep.
Let's say main floor, do the kitchen. It's a
Okay.
big item ticket.
Okay.
And leave the old floors. And do the floors, somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or do the kitchen and the floors only in that space where the kitchen is. And you understand what I'm saying? What is it better to do one part of the house completely done, right? Kitchen, floors, everything that we need to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Or do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, or you know what I mean? Just throw it all around the floor.
So in my experience, and you're probably going to echo the same thing, what sells houses or what sells homes typically is the kitchen and the master bath, okay? Those two items, if you're looking at it, those are the ones that, and for most instances, the female in your life, whether it's your wife, your girlfriend,
Sure.
your partner, she typically is the one that's going to steer that conversation for the most part, okay?
Yes.
So there's two ways to look at it. If we've got a great property in a great location that's just dated, I personally wouldn't spend all that money. I would just get it clean and modernized. What does that mean? Well, a fresh coat of paint goes the longest way, okay? Relatively inexpensive for the return you get. So we clean it up, we give it a coat of paint. Now, if it's got carpets in there, I would say, listen, don't get rid of the carpets, let's clean the carpets. You want it to smell clean, you want it to look good. Now, someone coming in there is probably gonna rip them out anyway, but at least they're coming in once like you said, a fresh canvas, okay?
Because what I'm finding is when people start doing things like I'm gonna do kitchen cabinets, and then I'm gonna have old floors, then I'm gonna change the floors, but I'm gonna leave the baseboards. It's halfway that doesn't feel right. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I 100% agree. And also remember, we're in the internet generation now, right?
Right.
We're in the social media generation now. So it's people
Clearly.
And remember, people are a lot smarter than they were potentially, or more learned. That's a better way of saying it,
Right.
than they were 15 years ago. So
Yes.
if you think you're gonna pull the wool over someone's eye, you're gonna do a quick fix, most people know. Right? And most people can go to Costco, they can go to Home Depot, they can just Google to see what are the price of laminate. So it's almost as though you're asking for more money, yet in your head you can do the calculation, well, you're asking for 100 grand more, but you spent maybe 6 grand, right?
Yes.
People are not dumb. So what I would say is, in certain situations, spending some money will net you significantly more. I do it all the time. And for that, you're right. There could be cabinets that, the positioning of them are great. They're just dated, right? Let's just say from the early 2000s. So there's a way we can look at that. We can
the
look
honey oak color, right?
You got it.
It's probably better than the new ones, but that's okay.
Nothing wrong with the cabinet. They just look dated.
Yeah.
So instead of ripping that all out and spending 20, 30,000, maybe we can refinish them, right? Get them refinished, add a nice backsplash. maybe change the appliances, relatively inexpensive things.
Lights do a huge,
Lights do a huge thing.
huge.
Lights do a huge thing. So I think if anybody's thinking about doing these type of things, definitely lean on a professional, someone like Ellis, someone like myself.
Mesh.
Right?
There you go.
And you know, it doesn't cost you anything to get that advice.
Sure.
Because, you know, I believe in, I'll tell you what I believe in. I believe in getting the client the top dollar for their property, regardless of the market we're in, doing it with little or as no aggravation as possible,
Right.
and doing it in your timeline. And those things can only be done if we sit down and say, this is what needs to be done for this market, right? Now, I believe where we're heading right now, we're into summer, spring market's over, stuff is still moving, but I'm noticing
Slower pace,
it's taking a bit slower.
Yeah.
So if you absolutely have to sell, okay, then you should be having these conversations with your realtor.
100%.
Because if we just throw it up expecting it to sell because that's what's been happening, that's not what's going to happen right now, in my opinion.
100%.
Right?
100%
So-
agreed. 100% agreed.
Yeah.
So now let's bump it up a notch. Luxury market.
Yeah.
It's a complete different ballgame.
Yeah.
Like I find that in these markets, you know, homes that are in pockets that are, you know, 3, 4, 5 million plus, it seems like whatever they add, they get back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like bigger, better, bigger pool, bigger saunas, home theaters. Whatever they add, I find that you can get it out because the buffer is so much bigger versus these regular, like, let's not call them cookie cutter, but everyday middle class homes. Right?
So I tend to agree with you. The only caveat I would add to that is that, you know, the further up the ladder we go, the buying power is smaller and smaller. There's fewer people. And in my experience, probably the same as yours, people, the further up you go, are a lot more strict with what they want.
Yes.
Meaning, you know, before we just embark on something because we think it looks great, you know, in Hong Kong and Singapore, gold toilets are the rage. You must have money to afford them. They're not that popular here.
No.
So before you decide on throwing a $15,000 gold toilet in, you should consult with a designer or someone to say, okay, if you're living here and you love it, excellent, put them in. But if your plan is to maybe sell in a couple years, you're not going to get the value out of this. And that's
and it's
what I'm
funny
seeing.
what designers can do.
Yeah.
Right, that's what it's interesting you brought that topic up now. Like it's another topic on its own.
Sure.
But designing homes, whether it's from scratch or
Remodeling
or,
or
whatever,
Yeah.
Those homes that have from start to finish the proper design in place. The whatever, if it's a traditional design or French or I don't know, there's
Chinese culture, feng shui, like the energy flows amazingly through the house. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But I feel that in those categories, clients need to feel that from beginning to end.
For sure.
Like you cannot mix and match too much because people get lost, right?
For sure.
Like you said, they're finicky, they're very specific, they know what they want. If it doesn't match, they're like, oh, I don't know why. I'm like, it's a great value. I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're thinking completely differently. So
I think we're talking about two things in the same conversation.
Yes.
The first one we talked about, I think, is more, and correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
it's
go
more
ahead.
about what would we do to prep and set up our clients for success in any
Done.
market.
Perfect.
And I think the conversation we had, like that identifies that. A, knowing what market we're in, knowing how much we need to spend to give you the best chance of getting those things. You know, top dollar.
or if anything, if we need to spend anything.
Exactly, if anything. The second one is a conversation of why is it that regardless of market, the higher end will continue to sell even if it takes longer time? Well, that's because that buyer is more discerning. And the one thing I've learned is, you know, when people have the flexibility of freedom of having that kind of income, they also have the flexibility and freedom of time. Okay? And because they have the time, they are going to wait until everything lines up perfect for them because they have the money. The other argument is also true. When we're in a market where everything seems like you can't find anything, seller's market,
Demand,
there's desperation in the air, you know, money's being thrown at everyone, you will buy whatever just because you feel you're missing out, you need to get in the market. So
Buyer's fatigue or whatever they call
exactly,
it, right?
Exactly. So two different scenarios talking about the same thing, but once again, I think your best point of attack is to start with a great realtor. You've got two of them sitting here, and you know, I'm sure they can guide you in the right way of what you should be doing or what you should be looking
100%,
at.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Mesh, thank you so much for coming. It's
Always.
beautiful, lovely day.
Well, you had me when you said come outside.
I know.
Let me show you some boats and fish. Let's go.
Let's go.
You had
Well,
me.
thank you so much for coming.
My
and
pleasure.
I hope
Always.
you guys enjoyed it. Thanks.
You.